And you're welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's set a different tonality to conversations on the program this morning. We'll be taking a look at traditional rulership in Nigeria and the role of governance and influence of governance control with regards to that, especially local government council chairmen who have the powers to unseat or install a traditional ruler, as well as the most ranking members of the states, talking about the state governors. And at this point, we are being joined by Maamoun Saleh, who is a political and social analyst. And much later on the program, we will be joined by Barrister Alex Ogboo, who is a legal practitioner. You're very much welcome, sir. It's wonderful to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, very quickly, let's jump straight to the matter. It's no news that the Ebonyi State Governor, Nwefuru, recently installed his father as the traditional ruler of a new autonomous community, upgraded his status to a first-class chief. Now, while this has been met by some sort of kudos by people who are supporters of the governor, other people have cited that perhaps he might have overshot his executive powers as a governor. What do you make of this?
Well, you see, what always destroys traditional institutions in Nigeria is self-interest. Always the state government or the local government usually instill people whom they are affiliated to them.
Yes.
They have special consideration for them. So they usually don't leave the council of chiefs or the kingmakers to make a choice. The traditional kingmakers, they are the suitable people to make choice. But politicians, that's the governor or the chairman of a local government council, will intervene, will interject, and put a person of whom he has a personal interest on him.
Yes.
So this is the major problem of destruction of Nigeria's traditional institution, and this will be harmful in the future because traditional institutions, they are tagged as fire brigade. When there is a crisis in a community,
they are the first responders.
Yes, people sought their assistance to talk to the community because those traditional institutions and kings and emirs and obas and obis, they have special regards from the people.
Yes.
So if the people appointed in that secret position are people of interest by some people behind, that regard and consideration will no more be there.
Now, not just in Ebonyi State, we have seen this play out in almost every emirate council, in almost every obiship, in almost every obaship across the country, in Lagos, in Edo, in Kano, in Ebonyi now, and it appears that there is too much government interference with political rulership, like you mentioned, in terms of personal interest. How do we draw a clear-cut line between where governance stops and where traditional rulership continues and takes center stage without any interference by either a local government chairman or even the state governor?
You see, you can't demarcate between where the powers of the traditional institution stops and that of a political person started.
Why so?
Why is that the politicians believe that the emirs, the obas, the obis, they have special power. When it comes to election, they will influence the people to vote him into power. That's the brain behind it.
Yes.
This is the essence. Not because they have any value to add to the system. No, not at all. Just they are thinking their next year of election or 2-3 years ahead of election. So they put people of their own belief, whom they believe they will vote them into power. It happened in Kano in 2014 when Ado Bayero died.
Yes.
You know, that time Concourse's government put Sunusi Lamido Sunusi, former governor of Central Bank, as the new emir of Kano.
Yes.
Whereas Alhaji Ado Bayero has his sons whom they're supposed to inherit that seat. There's the person called Chiro Mankano. He is the heir of that position. But he was not given that position. But Sunusi Lamido Sunusi was given that position
Yes.
because of maybe, I suppose, interest by Kwankwaso's government. Because they thought Lamido Sunusi will assist them in canvassing votes and
votes at the grassroots due to the love that he has from the people,
That's
and with his influence as a traditional ruler of that high status, it will be an easy pass for the government of Kwankwaso, maybe during the next elections as at then. Is that what happened?
Yes, that's absolutely what happened.
Now, in Kano State, Alhaji Maamoun, in Kano State, currently, we have seen that Emir Sanusi Lamido Sanusi is the current emir. The other emir, Adobayero, was dethroned by the state government, and now speculations are, if another governor comes into power who does not side with the Emir Lamido Sanusi's style of leadership, or has some sort of personal interest with that of Adobayero, he would reinstall the former emir and take out Lamido Sanusi. How long would the people of Kano State continue to see this interchangement of their rulers within the state?
This is the major problem Kano Emirate is facing. 2014, Sunusi Lamido Sunusi was enthroned as the emir of Kano.
Yes.
20 some years later, Governor Ganduje dethroned him due to some reasons.
Yes.
And put Amina Ado Bayero as the new emir. Then when this government, current government of Kano State, of Abba Kabir,
yes,
came into power, they removed the dethroned Amina Ado Bayero
and reinstalled Lamido
Sanusi. So you can see partisan politics have entered the emirate, and now Kano is being served by two emirs. One, Sunusi Lamido Sunusi, recognized by the state government,
yes,
whom are the legitimate authority to recognize emirs. Then the second one is Amina Ado Bayero, also in a palace outside Kano City.
Yes.
Also, he's claiming to be an emir, moving about with the staff, with every regalia,
yes,
of an emir.
But not fully recognized by the government as an emir.
Not fully recognized by the state government.
Yes.
But perhaps, I think he was recognized by the federal government.
Oh.
But usually state government and local government council of that particular place where the emir is leading, they are the legitimate authority,
yes,
whom have the right to
install an emir,
and to recognize him. So now the issue is that, as you rightly said, perhaps perhaps if there is a change of government, a change of political party in Kano,
yes,
when another party came into power, perhaps Sunusi Lamido Sunusi, Muhammad Sunusi II, will be removed and maybe reinstall Alhaji Amina Ado Bayero.
A complete distortion of the norm.
Yes, complete distortion of the norm. And this is not good for the people of Kano, for the culture of Kano, for the history of Kano. Once you can remove an emir and put another one, that respect,
And history would also be distorted, because when will it be said that Sanusi Lamido became an emir, and when did his rulership stop, and when will it be said that Emir Aminu Ado Bayero became emir, and then so this continuous interchanging of rulership, how much of an impact is it having on other minor rulers under the entire Kano Emirate Council?
Yes, this is the danger, as I earlier said. Now the Emirate Council, Kano Emirate Council, doesn't have that respect it has during Alhaji Ado Bayero, the late emir of Kano. It doesn't have that respect. Ganduje came in, he created 3 additional emirates out of Kano,
yes,
from his own powers, because it's not historical, as I later realized. It's not historical. So, and put his own puppet on that throne,
yes,
and now he has been removed. So you can see that distortion have reduced the image and have tarnished the image of Kano Emirate Council.
At some point, the Kano Emirate Council seemed almost superior to, the Sokoto Emirate Council, and now we are seeing that it's almost as if the Sokoto Emirate is the only emirate that hasn't had this sort of unnecessary and undue government interference.
Yes, this is the problem. Really, Kano Emirate in those days during Alhaji Ado Bayero earns a lot of respect. I cannot say it's more powerful than Sokoto Sultanate, because Sokoto Sultanate, usually they give the authority, the staff, to rule.
Yes.
From Usman Danfodio to death.
Yes.
So you see, even Sokoto Emirate Council, I don't like to go deep into that, Sokoto Sultanate. There was a time when General Abacha removed the Sultan, then Sultan, Ibrahim Dasuki, and installed Machido, whom later died in an accident, in an air accident.
Okay.
So you can see the entire northern Nigeria's emirate emirship or sultanship has been distorted.
Yes.
But the worst, I think, in recent history is that of Kano.
Kano State.
Kano is facing a serious problem. Now with two emirs, and there's an anticipation if there's a new government in Kano.
There might be a repetition of what happened in 2014.
Yes. Sunusi will be removed, Aminu will be installed. This is
a people ruled by two emirs within just 10 years, 2014 to 2024. Quite a very disturbing analysis there. But Alhaji Maamoun, I will come back to you. Let's see if we can join Barrister Alex Ogboo, a legal practitioner, virtually now. Hello, Barrister. Can you hear us? Are you with us? Well, I believe we will have some sort of connection much later with Barrister Alex Ogboo in the course of this conversation. But let me just still come back to you while we talk. We have touched on Ebonyi State, which we will still return to. We have touched on, Kano State. And much recently, we saw with the inception of Senator Monday Okpebholo as governor of Edo State, he reinstated the full powers of the Oba of Benin, to him following a fallout that the Oba had with the former governor Obaseki that sort of reduced his powers as an Oba. I would have asked Barrister Alex the legal perspective to this, but how much of an influence can these political leaders have, especially with regards to kingdoms or rulerships that have been existing long before Nigeria came into existence, with all their powers as kings all this while? How much of an influence do these people have with regards to taking out, reducing powers, or adding powers to kings?
From the time there was a local government reforms in Nigeria, 1977, if I'm not mistaken, the powers of the emirship, more especially in the north, I will talk about the north, has been removed. The the courts have been taken away from the emirs. The local police, the NA police as they were called then, has been removed. The prison, the treasury, many more has been removed, have been taken out of their powers. So they were left there as ceremonial heads. They don't have any political power, nor any authority whatsoever. You can see from that time, the credibility or the strength of those emirs have been drastically reduced. And now, with the advent of political governance in Nigeria, an emir, according to the laws of Nigeria or northern Nigeria, is that he is under a local government council, not a state government.
Yes. So a local government chairman can actually uninstall an emir at will if his other subordinates agree to that.
No, he cannot remove an emir, but he can query him. He can discipline him. He can do a lot of things more. But I believe removal or installing
is done by the state government.
By the state government, state government in particular. So you can see the entire powers, political powers of the emirs have been eroded by these reforms. I think during General Obasanjo, when he was a military leader, they have eroded
in the 70s.
In the 70s, in the mid 70s, I believe, the entire powers has been eroded. So the emirs, they are left empty-handed. They don't have any political power.
Except what is given to them by the state government.
Yes, as an ad hoc power. not as a statutory power, an ad hoc power where they can exercise that power.
Yes.
So you can see, long ago, the emirs are not all that powerful.
Yes.
They cannot exercise anything. They don't have anything. They earn salary as any staff is earning salary of the local government or state government. You can see this is the basis where emirship and emirship in the northern Nigeria have been reduced to nothing.
Interesting. Well, let's also speak on the creation of, either emirate councils, creation of sultanates, creation of obaship or whatever it is across the country. Now revisiting Ebonyi State. You touched on Governor Nwifuru's decision to install his father as traditional ruler of a new created, chieftaincy or something like that. But I want you to talk in-depthly on it. How much of a distortion of the norm is this decision by the governor? And do you think that perhaps because it is his father, that he has some sort of personal interest to have done what he did at the time he did it? On one hand, people are applauding him. On the other hand, people are not really in support of his decision, citing some sort of personal bias with regards to the installation of his father as the king.
I believe what the governor did was shameful. No matter the status or the quality of that king,
yes,
he has. So who is his biological father?
Yes,
I felt is something not ethically, is not clean.
Yes,
I cannot install my father as a leader of a community, even if he is better qualified than most candidates. I will choose somebody else.
Due to allegations of personal bias?
Yes, certainly. Once you put your relationship, not a father, a relationship from your local government or from your village or from your clan, you install him as a leader, people will be raising their eyebrows and asking, why him? Why not somebody else? Is he the only candidate? Is he the only most competent? Why him?
One of the things that the governor cited that I read somewhere when he was talking about what the reasons why he installed his dad as, the ruler of the newly created community and given with the staff of office, is that the community members had treated his father very poorly and unfairly while they were growing up as children. And that even the community secondary school where the event had taken place, the land actually belonged to his father and was taken away forcefully by the then community head. And now it's more of a vendetta rather than following the norm that is obtainable in the society. How, as funny as it might seem, this is the reality that we are facing. And if this could happen in Ebonyi State, it can as well happen in every other state across the country.
You see, once there's a element of revenge,
yes,
crisis will not end, and shameful act will not end. Why should he revenge on the community? They have taken his father's land and built a primary school. They have not treated his father well.
Fairly and
now he's telling the society or the community, now I'm the chief executive of the state. I will show you that I have the power to do whatever I like. I felt he has acted wrongly. What has passed, a bygone is a bygone.
Yes.
He shouldn't revenge anything. God have given him the powers of a state executive.
Yes.
So what do you want else? Why should you revenge? Once God has fought for you, I think there is no essence of you fighting other people. Why should you do that in the first place? So I felt this is the worst among all this issue of traditional institution.
Yes.
This of Ebonyi, I think it's the worst and shameful act which the governor did. I hope and I pray people will advise him to reverse what the decision he has taken on installing his father as the king.
Well, Alhaji Maamoun, again, I will come back to you, but wonderful take that you have made there with your last point with regards to the Ebonyi State Governor. Let's see if we can now join Barrister Alex Ogboo, a legal practitioner. Hello, Barrister, can you hear me? A very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Morning Express. Hello, Barrister. Well, we'll take a moment and see if we can reconnect to Barrister Alex. Hello? Well, it appears Barrister is having a little bit of tough time with his network. I'm afraid, Alhaji Maamoun, you might have to, take a look at it from the legal perspective before we have Barrister speak more elaborately in his capacity, as a legal practitioner.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but first I will tell you, I'm not a lawyer by profession.
Okay. But at least we can make an attempt to touch on it from the legal perspective.
Okay, that's all right.
Let's talk about the courts. If in the situation of Kano State, an emir is uninstalled by the state governor, can an appeal be made by that same emir to any court of appeal within the state?
Well, you see, according to Nigeria's constitution, you have the right to reply or to appeal for any injustice done to you.
Yes.
You have that right. It's your own right. When you are removed from a position and you felt that you are illegally removed,
yes,
you can appeal, you can go to court, seek redress in a court of law. This is normal and is part of fundamental human rights of every Nigerian.
yes.
So when Sunusi Lamido Sunusi was removed in 2014, he felt he shouldn't take any legal action.
Rather just walk away.
Walk away. He walked away without any court case. But in Aminu Ado Bayer's case, they went to court. Now there are about 2-3 cases in court pending.
With regards to the Kano Emirate?
Yes. There's a legal battle now going on, which is yet to be decided. And you see, the problem with another problem which our judicial system has is that usually court cases are not treated with speed.
The laxity that has always been there is a problem.
It's a problem. This case can linger maybe to 4, 5, 6 years ahead.
When another governor comes in and then another shift happens.
Yes.
I've just got news that Barrister Alex is on the line with us. Hello, good morning to you, Barrister. Are you with us now?
Just to be a part of this great event.
Well, thank you for joining us. I was just asking Alhaji Maamoun something with regards to the legal perspective when it comes to uninstallation and the installation of traditional rulers, with a case study being the Kano State Emirate Council, where in the last 10 years or so, they have had interchangement of traditional rulers within the Emirate Council. And my question was thrown from the angle of an appeal when an emir or a traditional ruler is uninstalled. What are the provisions within the Nigerian constitution for such appeals to be made? And is it possible to make this appeal and come through with it?
You know, when a matter is sub judice, when a matter is in the court and maybe at the High Court and judgment have been given and there's an appeal, until that case is disposed of and the judgment of the appeal comes out, a judgment of the appeal court comes out, the issue is still not clear. There's need for the judgment of that appeal to come out to know what the proper stand is. So when it's pending, there's not actually much you can do to get the right results, except a situation where on appeal, the Court of Appeal has given an order that the status quo should be maintained, meaning that things should be as they were before coming to court. When there's such an order, then the original position will eventually supersede and be in effect. Otherwise, there's need to wait for that appellate court to deliver judgment to know what the right situation should be.
Well, Barrister, let's visit Ebonyi State now. The governor had recently installed his father as, the traditional ruler of a new community, while also giving him, a staff of office officially recognized by the state government. Now, while many have commended the governor, his supporters have thrown their weight behind him. A lot of critical thinking Nigerians are of the opinion that the governor might have been out of line with this rather abrupt decision to install his father as king.
I read that matter, and I was shocked. What a governor is supposed to have done is, if the traditional council of chiefs had made that man a chief of the community before now, and he was being shortchanged,
Yeah.
but has got the rightful position before he became a governor, it's a different ball game. But here, he was talking of the humiliations he passed through in the past in the hands of some people and all that. He now created the community and made him the chief. He was overreaching himself. The governor was overreaching himself. It's not healthy for anybody, because this one now is a political chief. If the governor ceases to be governor today, the next governor will come and want to overrule, because it was by political decision that he came into office. That's where the danger of that matter is.
Well, talking about the dangers of such actions, we saw with the case study of Kano State the installation, reinstallation of different emirs and all, and it appears like Kano Emirate is the most troubled across the country, whether it comes to
Yes.
the Emirates, the Sultanates, the Obiship, or the Obaship. How do we ensure that we stem down government interference with regards to traditional rulership, not also ruling out the fact that provisions have been made in the constitution where these traditional rulers are now under the local government councils, but still, where is the place of respect for tradition and norms and customs?
Yeah, actually, when the ground law, which is our constitution, came into place, the constitution was drafted in such a way as to cover every area of what affects all the citizens and all positions and authorities.
Yes.
That all the constitution to bring the position of traditional rulers under that provision. But the painful aspect is the behavior of our politicians, where a politician comes, if he likes the face of a traditional ruler, he will give all the support to such a person. If he doesn't like the face of the traditional ruler, they will be looking for a way to corner the person and get the person humiliated. Because that's actually what happened in the case of Kanu. Yes, there are certain things that could happen that could make a traditional ruler to be dethroned. But there was so much politics that played out during the time of the former governor, who is the current chairman of APC. And he told the lie he told that made the current governor to try to reinstate him. So that eventually became a kind of a confused mesh that is putting people at loggerheads. Is the improper behavior of our politicians as governors that is now causing all this. Exactly what made me to say that of Ebony, as he did this thing he did, is more of political interference that the next governor may now look and think otherwise. So our political leaders need to curtail their excesses towards the traditional institution. That is very important for us.
Well, I was speaking with Alhaji Mamman, and one of the things he mentioned was that I think in the mid-70s, during the then military administration of General Olusegun Obasanjo, powers of the traditional rulers were stemmed down to a very large extent, where the police then was taken away from under them, the bursary was taken away from them, even the prisons was also taken away from them. And if you take a look at the northern Nigeria's image, particularly, you would find that most prisons are usually very close to the emir or the sultan's palace. In present day Nigeria, can you highlight the powers of a traditional ruler, whether in the north, west, south, or east?
Now, like you pointed out, my friend with you there is right to have reference what he did. issue of removing the power of the prisons from the traditional rulers is very important, because matter of prison borders on criminality. It should not be coming rightly from an emir or obi or oba or any of these traditional rulers to decide who should be imprisoned or not. That one is better handled by the constitution. But there are a lot of powers traditional rulers have, which the constitution has actually granted them, that they should circumscribe themselves within those aspects. Going each matter that border on custom and tradition of their people, and so on and so forth. Those ones are within their confines, because if they are allowed to go to the extent of handling criminal matters, a lot of complexities are going to come under it.
Certainly.
Because yes, there are these issues like the governors who have immunity. If they are handling matters like that, it will also bring them under immunity, and is subject to so much abuse. So they should confine themselves within the areas of custom and tradition. That is very good and very vast and very wide. Their remuneration should be given to them, but our governors should be careful in the way they they delve into the issues of the traditional institution. They are elders, and they should be accorded that respect.
Well, let's visit the Oba of Benin's case in Edo State. Now, this is post the election where Senator Monday Okpebholo won as governor of Edo State, and now we saw a report recently, sometime in November last month, that the state government, had restored the Oba of Benin's full powers, also withdrawing the later revoking the concession of the Oba Akenzua II Cultural Center issued by the last administration. Now, we all know that, the Oba of Benin and the former governor Obaseki were not really in very good terms throughout the tenure of Obaseki. When we talk about traditional rulers meddling in politics, we have talked enough about politicians now meddling in traditional rulership, but how about traditional rulers being in bed with politicians? How do we stop this? And how much of an impact is it having on our most revered traditional settings?
Now, the truth is that any traditional ruler knows where his powers lie and knows where to go beyond the bounds. They are supposed to be neutral as far as issue of politics is concerned. They are supposed to be neutral. That is what their position is. If they decide to become political, become partisan, they have exceeded their bounds, and it means that they are cutting for trouble. But on the other hand, that a traditional ruler voiced out an issue that is of general importance to everybody in a state doesn't mean stepping beyond bounds. If a governor is doing something that will not be helpful to the state, the traditional ruler should be able to advise the governor. Though the way to go about it differs. One should be expecting that the traditional ruler should seek a private communication and conversation with the governor to be able to bring out his or his views or her views. Anyway, at times you can have a female.
Yes.
So when they give their views in a normal format, for me, I don't see anything wrong with that. But if a particular traditional ruler decides to exceed his powers, he's cutting for trouble. I followed the case of that Edo. I think where the problem started was when the former governor fell out with his deputy.
Yes.
That was where the crisis started. So, for me, what I expected in something like that is that the Oba should have had a private conversation with the governor, to make some suggestions. And when he makes some suggestions, he mustn't insist that it should be implemented completely as he wants it. The governor has the right to choose some aspects and all that. So that's what used to cause some of these problems. As long as a traditional ruler maintains his bounds, we have seen it over the years that many of them don't get into that challenge, except when certain things happen.
Well, Barrister Alex, let me just hold you there. Alhaji Maamoun, you were nodding your head while Barrister was stating something about the Oba of Benin and the rift he had with Governor Obaseki, and now with Okpebholo on board, he's trying to reinstate all these powers and abolish all the declarations, that the former governor had done. In regards to traditional rulers meddling into government affairs, how far can they go in terms of advising, being that they are the closest to the grassroots, to the people, and they understand the plight of the people even more than the governors at the upper level?
Most of traditional leaders in Nigeria now, most, I won't say all, they are installed in that position by politicians.
Yes.
So you can see those installed by a politician and by a political party, because that governor is affiliated to a political party.
The APC.
So his loyalty, not necessarily APC,
Any
political party.
Yes.
So his loyalty will be to that governor, by extension to the political party, because he is trying to compensate the goodies he has made to him by installing him as the emir or Oba or Obi or whatever.
Yes.
By so doing, he will involve himself in partisan politics deeply, not partially. So the issue of advising is not there. Most traditional rulers now are partisan politicians. Indirectly, they are not wearing the gown of a politicians, but right inside them, they assist them with monies, contribution for political campaign and so on and so forth. They are also campaigning for them indirectly. So you can see lack, as I said earlier, lack of independence by emirs and obis and obas from installation to that position they are holding, brought in this loyalty to the governor. Had it been the system has been purified,
yes,
they are appointed by kingmakers or obi makers or obas makers,
as the tradition has always been.
Yes, as the tradition has been always been. You see, they will not be affiliated to any political party or political person. They will remain independent. Their role will be that of advice. They will advise the leader to say, by so doing, you are jeopardizing the peace of the society or the state or the local government.
Yes.
So please back away. They will only advise. But now they are fully partisan, because if they are not partisan, the governor whom installed them, when time comes, he will not help them to continue with their leadership or rulership.
Because he's no longer in power to do anything.
Yes. So this is the problem. So what we might try to do as much as possible to maintain the good culture, good African culture, is just to remove the installation of emir, obas and obis from the state governors. Let it be the kingmakers who will do that job. And that kingmakers, they are independent, they are not partisan. But as far as politicians appoint emirs and obis and obas, that bad attitude of affiliation to that governor or political party will be there and will remain there.
Well, Barrister Alex, let me get your take on what Alhaji Maamoun here had mentioned about the independence of these traditional rulers without interference or meddling into politics. There are talks here and there of a possible review of Nigeria's constitution. Do you think, in your capacity as a barrister now and a member of the judiciary, that there might be some sort of provision reinstating the powers of these traditional rulers to a certain extent that would allow them not be at the mercy of the state governors or even be chided by persons in government like local government council chairman?
My friend just stated the fact. Because as long as they are appointed by the governors, there is that issue of where your respect lies. The same thing is also bastardizing the judiciary, where the president must appoint the chief justice of the federation, all right, and the case of the other justices. The same with the governors appointing the chief judge and all. Those provisions
Well, I think there might be.
It needs to be left to all the judiciary, the chief judge.
All right, carry on. We can hear you, Barrister. I think there's a
the judges and the chief justice. They can't. Hello?
Oh, okay. Yeah, carry on. We can hear you loud and clear now. We can hear you loud and
Hello?
clear, Barrister. You can carry on.
All right. So he just stated the fact. There's need to see the power to appoint these traditional rulers to the council of chiefs. There's need for an amendment in the constitution to do that, and even the one involving the judiciary, in order for us to have independence. If it is not done, all these things we see will keep on going on. That is why the politicians are manipulating the courts. You know, because chief justices are giving respect to the party that appointed them and so on, and that of the states. The same thing with traditional rulers. That is what is causing this confusion. There's need for an amendment to bring out the appointment from the hand of the political authority to an independent body that will create independence, and it will make the society to work better. There's need for an amendment for that to be done in the constitution. There's an urgent need for that.
Well, when you're talking about the amendment, can you take it in detailed form, and how much powers will be restored to these traditional rulers, and is there a possibility of seeing an end to the interchanging of traditional rulers, like in the case of Kano State, where any governor can come in, if he doesn't like the face of the emir, he takes him out, brings in the one that he likes, another governor comes in, the same repetition happens, and in 10 years, Kano has changed emirs between Emir Lamido Sanusi and Aminu Adobayero a number of times. Is that happening anytime soon?
Actually, you see, the constitution has always been very explicit on what their powers are, issues of custom and tradition. And when you talk of custom and tradition, it's quite vast. Their powers lie within that area, you know, they have areas where they function at the local government level. Those provisions are stated in the constitution. But that is not where the major thing now is who appoints. That is what is causing it. If the Council of Traditional Rulers appoint them, which is an independent body, that the governors will not be interfering, when they are bringing out their views as advice from elders, the governor knows that this person is not made by him, and you cannot just handle them anyhow. So it's because they have the appointing power that they're expecting absolute loyalty, just like they have a special assistants. That's what is happening in this country. They want to treat the traditional rulers as their special assistants or special advisors appointed by them. So the appointment is the main issue. The provision of the authority and the scope of their rights and all that will be specified by the constitution.
Well, Barrister, just hold your thoughts there. Alhaji Maamoun, you have heard him talking about the possibility of constitutional review if it happens in the future, with the provisions of the constitution being tweaked to sort of better help stop all of these controversies that we see in rulership across different parts of the country. What are your thoughts on this? We have just about 5 minutes to wrap up this conversation on the program.
You see, the issue is not the constitution. The issue are the players, those who operate the constitution. Usually politicians, they knew how to maneuver their way out to ridicule any law in Nigeria, yes, and elsewhere too. If the players are really serious and doing the right thing at the right time, yes, I think things might be different as of now. And as the barrister said, that institution whom they install the traditional rulers, yes, they should be as independent as possible, without any intervention in their composition and their powers by the chief executive. Yes. And he mentioned also by extension the judiciary, certainly, whereby the governor or the president appoints chief justice of the federation or chief justice of the state. This also intervention, it ridicules the strength of the judiciary to make laws. They might be lenient to those who have appointed them. So I think barristers have said it all. Usually from appointment, it leads to something else, which will be harmful to the society.
Well, Barrister, before we let you go from the conversation this morning, let's just get your final takes. Now, from your perspective as a legal practitioner, your words to state governors or political office holders who try to meddle in the affairs of traditional rulership across the country, in ways that are deemed not appropriate, and also to traditional rulers who do not know where to draw the line between where their kingship or rulership stops and where governance starts.
My advice is that people should avoid impunity, whether governor, president, ministers, traditional rulers. People should avoid impunity because that is what has been bedeviling our country. People should avoid impunity. It doesn't pay anybody. And we should know that power transcends. You are there today, tomorrow you are not there. People should avoid impunity. Let there be respect for law and order. Let there be respect for one another. Let there be respect for equality and fair play. Thank you.
Well, Barrister Alex Ogboo, I must thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you on Morning Express. We look forward to having you join us, maybe next time in the studio, to have discussions on other matters in the news.
Thank you so much. I'm always available.
Thank you. Well, Alhaji Maamoun, we have 3 minutes of your time to wrap up this conversation. In your capacity as someone who has, seen transitions of rulership, especially in the northern part of the country, you understand how the emirates work, you understand how the sultanates work and all, in all regions. I would also want to get your final advice to these traditional rulers and your final advice to persons like Kwankwaso in 2014, and of course Governor Abba, who had done what he did with the current situation in Kano. In closing now,
you see, always what I will advise the politician and the traditional leaders, the traditional emirs and so on, is to desist from partisan politics.
Yeah.
They should put the state ahead of every interest. This is the major problem we have in Nigeria generally, not in northern Nigeria, not in Kano alone.
Yes.
Always politicians, they put their personal interest ahead of national interest. And once you put that one ahead, you are bound to make mistake. You are bound to do something which history will not forgive you.
Yeah. Okay. Well. In closing, that's a very wonderful take from you, Alhaji Maamoun. I must thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Wonderful conversation with you and Barrister online. I was actually expecting a banter, but it's like you both were on the same page. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
it's
much
been a
indeed.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, that has been Alhaji Maamoun sharing his thoughts with us. Maamoun Saleh sharing with his thoughts with us on the issue of traditional rulers and government control and interference to rulership in the country. Now, Alhaji Maamoun Saleh is a political and social analyst here with us in the studio.